I didn't believe you could do it. It was a vote of hope.
Oh my God.
Yes,
Oh
yes,
my
yes,
God.
that's great.
Hand to hand. Oh my God.
Great. All right. Y'all can see. Good Shabbos.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. It is so amazing and wonderful that you are here and the sun is out and it is Shabbos. We're going to begin with the first song at the top of the page. There's just a simple word that is lechu, which means go. And I don't want you to leave, but move internally from the week into Shabbos. Lechu. That's a whole part just like that. Lechu. Try that. Lechu. Lechu. You can just keep going like that, or you can join me in singing. Lechu. Eranana Adonai.
Lechu.
Naria letzor yishenu. Gadol Adonai הוא מלך גדול על כל אלוהים. וגדלה פניו ותודה בזמירות נריע נריע לו. וגדלה פניו ותודה בזמירות נריע נריע לו. שנה קוט בדור ואמרם תוהה לבבם והם לא ידעו דרכי אשר נשבעתי באפי אם יבואון אל מנוחתי. So the pandemic started in like March of 2020, and by April, it was still cold outside. There was a group of about 40 people out here every Sunday doing yoga. In masks, all like 10 feet apart from each other. You know, it was like we still didn't really know very much about anything. But it was just people who felt like they needed to be with people and needed to get out of their houses and needed to do yoga. And they did it here in this space, in front of the CVS, just like us, tonight. Needing to come out, needing to be in community, connect with something bigger, and do it in this funny, totally urban space that we turn into a holy space. I want to invite you to sit up a little bit straighter if that is comfortable in the position you're in. If the whole idea of the position you're in is not to sit up straight, so then just sit in the most aligned version, the most supported version of whatever way that you are sitting or standing, and just take, I want to say, 7 breaths for each day of the week that has been. And they can be nice and slow. You don't have to do it with me. Just at your own pace to begin to come down. Feel yourself being breathed. Your shoulders relaxing. Listening to the sounds around us. Not a one of them being a distraction from spiritual space, but actually just a beautiful part of it. There are traditionally 7 psalms that lead our way through Kabbalat Shabbat, through this part of the service that's really just trying to descend from the energy of Friday and the end of the week and take us into a deeper space, help us drop into a deeper space. But like, it doesn't happen right away. Can't do that right away. Can't just honk a car horn and make the car in front of you go. You know, there's patience, there's easing in. So that's what we're doing now. We may not do all 7 of those psalms, but even 7 good breaths can begin the process of helping us drop into Shabbos space and beginning to sing a new song. able to stand, I invite you to. Mizmor LeDavid, Havu L'Adonai, Ne'eli, Havu L'Adonai, Kavod Va'oz, Havu L'Adonai, Kevod Shemo, Ishtachavu L'Adonai, V'Hadrat Kodesh, Kol Adonai, Al Hamayim HaKavod Hiri, Adonai, Hamayim Rabim, Kol Adonai Ba'Kohai, Kol Adonai Be'Hadar, Kol Adonai Shover Arazim, Vaishaver Adonai Ze'Hamazon, Vayar Kidei, Kimo Egel Lebanon, B'Sirion, Kemo V'Reivim, Kol Adonai, Totzev Lavot Esh, Kol Adonai Yachiva, Yachir Adonai Mivar Kadesh, Kol Adonai Vayavo, Vayechaso Le'ao, U'Lechalo, U'Lemekavod, Adonai, Lamavu Yashar, Vayeshev Adonai Melech Le'olam, Adonai Me'am Bo'yimtei, Adonai Yivarech Ramo Hashem. Ay, 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 Come on down, Shekhinah. Come on down, Spirit. Hang out with us. We can take a seat. This is so wonderful. So welcome to Mishkan. I was saying to somebody, this is our building. Like the world, the neighborhood, wherever. The actual name of the community, Mishkan, means the dwelling space. It's from the same word, shochein, as the word Shekhinah, which is the feminine name for God, or it's one of God's feminine identities, the Shekhinah, who dwells within and among us, wherever, whenever we open up and tap in. And so the name of the community, Mishkan, was named such because we didn't and don't still have like one physical presence. It's not exactly where the Spirit moves us. We have a large staff. They move us. And thank God for them. And when we can be in a space like this, I can't imagine God feeling more present than this space right here, right in this moment. Is there anybody who is here for the first time tonight? Woo! Yes, all right, you're mostly sort of centered over here, so I feel like I'm just gonna say hello and welcome. I imagine many of you are here to celebrate with Dennis and Zelda as they, this weekend, celebrate their Ufruf. Repeat after me, Ufruf. Ufruf, not woof woof, Ufruf. It means shout out in Yiddish, and it is what we do for couples the week before usually they get married. And Dennis and Zelda are getting married this coming Thursday, and so I'll say more about them in a moment. Well, we're so happy that you brought your friends and family to celebrate Shabbos with us and to celebrate you. The book of the Torah we are reading from right now is, in this season, is the book of Numbers, which in English sounds so linear and predictable, right? Numbers, right? What is more straightforward than numbers? But in Hebrew, in the original, that is not the name of the book. The name of the book in Hebrew is Bamidbar. Does anybody know what that means? So in the desert or in the wilderness. Yeah. Which is sort of by definition not linear or predictable. And in the wilderness, Bamidbar is actually much more descriptive of what happens in this story. What they think is going to be an 11-day journey from Egypt to the Promised Land for these Israelites becomes a 40-year, catastrophe for them, really, for most of them. That's where they spend the rest of their lives, and they never make it to the Promised Land. It is anything but predictable. And on the way, as we read in this week's Parsha, they're hungry, and they're tired, and they complain, and they don't like the job assignments God has given them in the desert, and they're uncomfortable, and they're hot, and they're cold, and they want to go back to Egypt, where at least they knew where their food was coming from. There was so much wrong with Egypt. They spent hundreds of years trying to get out of there, and give them but a few months, and all they want is to go back to the predictability of Egypt. And so God does this beautiful thing with them, with all these kvetchy, uncomfortable people. God shows up for them in a way that is predictable. In the evening and in the night, God shows up for them in fire, in like a pillar of fire to warm them. And then when the sun comes out and it's hot, God shows up as a cloud to shield them from the heat. Pillar of fire by day, cloud by night, pillar of fire by day, cloud by night. And the text says that, however long they stayed in one place, whether it was 2 days or a month or a whole year, this kind of predictable rhythm, this partnership, they could rely on. And wherever they moved, as scary and unknown as the movements were, they knew they were at least moving with a partner, with God's presence. They knew they weren't alone. And I know this has been a rough week for some people here tonight. We have struggled with housing. We have lost jobs. We have had family losses and health setbacks. And I know that for many of us, we come here tonight because on a fundamental level, you're not alone. We are walking with you. And we might not be able to change the present, but our presence can make it a little more bearable and make it hurt just a little bit less, and maybe even bring a little bit of joy into this moment. And so I turn to the two of you, Dennis and Zelda. I want you to stand up because I'm talking to you. We'll all join you soon. But as you embark on life's journey together, I know that your partnership is a little bit like the Israelites and God. You provide for each other's shade and each other's sun. You provide the stability to each other's crazy, and vice versa. You help stabilize each other and provide a predictable rock for the other so that you can navigate the world through whatever life throws at you. You have made monumental, big life choices that have pushed your life forward, and you will continue to do that. And some of those choices are going to be on your schedule, and some of those choices are going to be on the divine schedule. And you are actually quite practiced at taking a deep breath and reminding each other that even if everything else is swirling in unpredictable ways, one thing you have is one another. And that is why you're going to stand under the chuppah on Thursday night. And what a nice thing to know. And so I want to say for all of us, this image of the fire and the cloud we can find this in so many places. I hope that one of those places is here. I hope that the two of you find that rest and that shade and that passion and that fire in one another. And I bless all of us to be able to find that shade and that passion and that fire inside of yourself and with another in whatever way. And so I want to ask us all to stand as we go into Lecha Dodi, which is a love poem. We always do, some shuls do ofrufs on Saturday mornings. We do those too. But on a Friday night, we always place this moment right here before Lecha Dodi because it's a poem asking for the disparate parts of God to come together on this Friday night and to build a home for us to dwell in. That's called Shabbos. So Elohei Ahava, God of love, I want you to bless this couple with your presence and bless them with a sense of their own presence. Let them have the courage to speak their needs and the compassion to meet their partner where they are, to know that both in abundance and scarcity, they never need doubt the deep, abiding, loving partner who stands next to them in this moment. May you laugh and dance and also meditate and then laugh and dance some more throughout your lives together as you build a home, a bayit ne'eman b'Yisrael, a home that is steadfast among the Jewish people and connected to the world around you in so many deep and powerful ways. Can you hear Ratzon? And so as we go into Lecha Dodi, where is that? Thank you. There's a line. Let's turn to page 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 stanzas down. And you can see it's bolded. It says, Kimsos chatan al kala, because this is a love poem and it's a metaphor. So, Yasis alayich Elohayich kimsos chatan al kala. May it be that we rejoice with God like a bride and groom rejoice. And so this is an invitation to laugh, to dance, and to sing and dance and rejoice with bride and groom as well. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamo v'zachor b'dibur echad, hishmiyanu el hamichad Adonai echad, u'shmo echad, v'shem u'tiferet eretz milad. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat yechuran yelcha, ki nikor habracha mirosh mikerem nesucha, sof ma'aseh v'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lo tevoshi ve'lo tikami, ma tishtachi u'ma temi. Ba'al yechaseh ani ami, v'nipneta yiratila. Lecha Dodi so feel free to come forward. Come forward. Folks you brought to dance with you. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. V'hayulim shisa v'rachat u'kom v'valayit, yatzis alayit Elohai, kimsos chatan al kalai. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Yaniru smo tifrosi, ve'et Adonai tarisi. Al yarish ben parsi, ve'nismecha v'nagila. It's considered a really big mitzvah to celebrate with the bride and groom, even if you don't know them. To sing, to lift spirits. Oh, you had candy that whole time and you waited until now to throw it. Shower them with sweetness. Mazel tov. Let's do announcements later. Let's just keep rolling. We're gonna stay standing as long as we're standing. We're at the bottom of 2. We're gonna face east, which is that way, away from the sun, thank God. Ooh, let's do a big one to get everybody in the Hi-ya, ya-la-la-ya-ya, 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 After Stephen.
Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Adonai Hamevorach Leolam Va'ed Adonai Hamevorach Leolam
You'll see we've truncated our evening service just a little bit.
Tiny bit.
So you're missing those 2 blessings right before the Shema that help bring us into evening, thanking God for bringing on the evening and thanking the Holy One for bringing us into love and for loving us with every breath and every lesson we learn in life. You can take a seat. The custom is as we go into the Shema to close or cover your eyes and to pay attention with the rest of your entire body and try and bring all of your focus in with each word. And if you can't muster whole focus for all the words, even just the first word, even just the first Shema, you remind yourself that you are capable of complete focus on something holy, connecting you to everything, and connecting you to God.
Shema.
Shema.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושנתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. So we're going to turn our attention and our focus to healing, to sending prayers and blessings, because that's what we can offer in this moment to everyone who needs a prayer. I'm thinking tonight about the horrible stories of all of these folks along the Dnipro River, just with waters rising and no idea what will happen next, and folks in Canada dealing with fires, and here and all over the world dealing with the smoke and the toxic air and effects of fires, and just living in this world that itself can feel so unpredictable. And then there's each one of us in our own lives, and the people we know and the people we love who are struggling, who we want to send prayer to. So take a moment and think who it is you want to send a prayer to. Prayer of healing and of hope and of holding on. And maybe it's you. And the tradition for the Jewish people is we share who we're praying for. It's not a secret. There is no shame in needing a prayer. Every day we do it in our minyan. We say who it is we're sending love to and sending healing to. And so I actually want to ask you to take a moment to say hello to somebody nearby. And if there is somebody you are praying for tonight, you feel comfortable sharing, go ahead and tell them who you're thinking about. And if it's you, then allow them to say your name. We'll come back together in a moment. Take a moment and introduce yourself to somebody nearby. Say hello. Sending them refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, healing of body, healing of spirit. We pick up in the middle of the page. Shmor tziteinu voeinu, Shmor tziteinu voeinu, Shmor tziteinu voeinu, Shmor tziteinu voeinu, lechayim uleshalom, me'ata ve'ad olam, ufros aleinu sukkah, shomecha, lechayim uleshalom, me'ata ve'ad olam, ufros aleinu sukkah, shomecha, u'shmor tziteinu voeinu, u'shmor tziteinu voeinu, u'shmor tziteinu voeinu, u'shmor tziteinu voeinu, lechayim uleshalom, me'ata ve'ad olam.
ושמור צאתנו בואנו לחיים ולשלום נעשה ביד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך לחיים ולשלום נעשה ביד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. We're going to stand. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש שבת וינפש שבת וינפש. Last time. שמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Take a moment while you're standing as a personal Amidah moment, a personal standing prayer. It helps to close your eyes. Remember that feeling of relaxed shoulders, relaxed fingers, fingers that are not typing at a keyboard or thumbing a phone, but just hanging down at your sides, relaxed, beginning to actually drop into that Shabbat space. When you're feeling like you're touching it a little bit more, feel free to have a seat.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Introduce yourself. I didn't introduce myself.
Oh, well, that's Rabbi Lizzie, who's asking me to introduce us. I'm Rabbi Steve, and this is our amazing davening team. You are at Mishkan, and it is wonderful to see all of you here. So Pat Robertson died yesterday. And I imagine many of you, as I'm hearing, are familiar with this man who welcomed controversy as a means of spreading his particular message. He leaves behind what I would call a truly awe-inspiring legacy in both senses of the word awe, amazing and terrifying. There are the material achievements, like the Christian Broadcasting Network is one of the largest conservative media production and distribution companies in the world. And then there are the immaterial gains, galvanizing the Christian right, reshaping the Republican Party as a bastion of social conservatism, escalating the so-called culture wars of religious freedom and cultural diversity and family values and feminism and LGBTQ rights. And of course, there's the incredible harm he has inflicted on individuals and on communities by stoking a discourse of hate, and it is not hyperbole to say that he has left this world with blood on his hands. There's a kind of poetic justice that Pat Robertson died during Pride Month, and in fact, I learned about his death through a meme shared by several of my friends that use the word pride as an acronym, P-R-I-D-E, Pat Robertson is dead, everybody. But in the rush to celebrate his demise, I have to admit that I felt a little bit of discomfort. Now, don't get me wrong, I am grateful that he is no longer able to harm me and the communities that I love. Yet there's an uncomfortable likeness between dancing on Pat Robertson's grave and the perverted delight that he took in assigning tragedy, whether it was earthquakes or hurricanes or COVID or 9/11 or even the Holocaust, to the advancement of progressive values and the protection of those I care about most. When people die, our tradition invokes the phrase, Yehi zichrono livracha, may their memory be for a blessing. Contained within these words is the hope that remembering the person, even as we mourn their loss, will bring us comfort and strength, even joy, and inspire us to bring their best qualities into our own lives. And so we learn that even the seemingly unremarkable life can be a blessing as it changes those who carry their memory for the better. Yet our tradition offers a corollary for those who leave behind a legacy of harm. Yimach shemo v'zichrono, may their memory and their name be erased. This phrase was first invoked in reference to Haman, who plotted the genocide of our people, but is also linked to Amalek, who preyed on the vulnerable, the disabled, the ill that had fallen to the back of our caravan as we fled slavery in Egypt. We are commanded twice by the Torah to erase his memory as a way of honoring and caring for those who bore the consequences of his hatred. It is an epithet that we've given to the worst enemies of the Jewish people, Stalin, Hitler, for example. So how do we decide whose memory is for a blessing and whose memory should be erased? Pat Robertson was unquestionably a hate-monger whose decades-long career inflicted real and irreparable harm on countless people. Yimach shemo v'zorcho, may his name and his memory be erased. And yet Pat Robertson was also a son and a husband and a father, a minister who I imagine was loved, perhaps passingly and perhaps deeply, by his friends and his family and his community, who, if they were Jewish, I imagine might say, Yehi zichrono livracha, may his memory be for a blessing. And above all, he was a human being, complicated and complex, just as capable of healing and of harming as any one of us here. It is a challenging truth to recognize that even our enemies have redeeming moments. And it is a humbling reality to understand that our heroes sometimes do bad things. Our Torah reading this week ends with a conflict between the siblings Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, one that brings out their worst and their best selves. The chapter opens with the latter two, seemingly without cause, spreading slander about their brother, saying, Isha kushit lakach, he has taken a Cushite woman into his house. Okay, great. To the modern eye, this might seem like an innocuous, if somewhat random statement, so let's look a little deeper. First, Moses' wife, Tzipporah, is a Midianite, not a Cushite. A Cushite is a generic term used throughout the Bible for dark-skinned people from Africa. By calling her a Cushite, Aaron and Miriam are doing two things: identifying her as an other, an interloper who does not belong to their tribe, the people Israel, and pointing out her difference in appearance, in particular the color of her skin. It is an incredibly xenophobic and deeply racist statement. Second, their words have potentially devastating consequences for Moses' leadership and the stability of Israel's society, which is, by the way, brand new. While this incident is quickly resolved, in just a few weeks, we'll read about another moment of incitement that leads to a full-scale rebellion against the political establishment, one that ends with the deaths of thousands. So as punishment for their slander, Aaron and Miriam are brought before God, and after being scolded, which I imagine is incredibly terrifying, the latter of the two is stricken with leprosy. There's a lot to unpack here about why Miriam and not Aaron is punished in this way, but I want to focus on what happens next. Moses has every reason to be furious at Miriam. She insulted his wife. She incited xenophobia and racism within their community. She attacked his authority and threatened the stability of a society still in its nativity. Her words were harmful and hateful and potentially destructive. Yet seeing her suffer as sores spread across her body, Moses cries out, El na rafana la, O God, please heal her. I don't think he says this because he's not angry, but because alongside his anger, he is able to hold compassion and the belief that she can and will change for the better. And so God is like, no. And Moses is like, come on, God. And God relents and says, fine. We'll come to a compromise. Miriam will live outside the camp for 7 days because what she did was wrong. But after that, she'll be healed and she can rejoin her community. That was a paraphrase, by the way. I like this story because it points to a fundamental building block of our tradition. That our response to a world that is complicated and complex, inhabited by people who are complicated and complex, is yes and. Yes, we should be held accountable for our actions. And yes, bad choices have consequences. And yes, justice can and must absolutely be pursued. And no person is purely good or purely evil. And we all have the capacity to grow, to change, to improve. And the pursuit of justice must be accompanied by the desire to heal, because both justice and healing are part of the remedy to harm. Yes, and. So I'm going to return to Pat Robertson one last time before we can let his name fall into the annals of history. To say, Yimach Shemo V'Zichro, and Yehi Zichrono Livracha. Yes, may his memory and name be erased, and may his memory be for a blessing. May we be the tools of dismantling the legacy of hatred that he has left. May we erase the effects that racism and nationalism and misogyny and homophobia and all the other forms of bigotry that he preached have had on our political process through our votes and our activism and our community organizing, both with those who are like us and perhaps more particularly with those who are very different from us. May we reclaim religion from the right with the knowledge that indigenous to our tradition are voices of progress, among them, and perhaps my most favorite, the belief that all people, without question, are created in the divine image, beings of inherent worth and dignity, not only deserving of lives free from harm, but of being accepted and celebrated and loved. And I'll hand it to Pat Robertson and his ilk one thing. They had unabashed passion for their cause. They had a clarity of purpose and what they hoped to achieve, and a sense of pride in their identity as conservative Christians. And from that, we can learn. may we be blessed with that same passion and that same clarity of purpose and that same pride in who we are and what we stand for. And so perhaps this is where we start, right here and right now, by meeting hate, the legacy of hate that he left, with love. Love for ourselves and love for each other. It is Pride Month after all. To be more unapologetically and proudly and joyfully the very thing that they would want to eradicate from this world and help each other do the same. You're already doing it by choosing to celebrate Shabbat in a public space like this town center. I hope you'll come back next week and the week after that. I hope you'll learn more about and get involved with our justice work as we create a more equitable and safer Chicago for everyone, for all people. I hope you'll join us for all of the programming we're doing for Pride as we celebrate queerness in all of its forms. But more than anything, I hope that you'll continue to be you. Because who you are, wherever you might find yourself in the brilliant rainbow of human identity and expression, is always for a blessing. Shabbat Shalom.
So there's a blessing for healing. It's just 6 words. Ana, Elna, Refanala comes from this week's Torah portion. It's that very line that Moses uses on behalf of his sister, who just slandered and insulted him. And yet he finds it within himself to pray for her. So I want to teach us this tune for healing the broken places in ourselves, for healing the brokenness in those who make it hard to see the beauty in others. May we pray for that healing so that everyone can see the beauty in all of us. Thank you. Thanks, Rabbi Stephen. Before we close out our service tonight, I want to say again, a welcome to everybody who is here with us for the first time, or if you are back after a long time, or if you are kind of checking us out, if for the first time or the 19th time. You're coming in the month of June, which means it's Pride Month, as Rabbi Steven said, and he's going to tell you in a second some of the things that you can look forward to. But it also means like this is recommitment month. And for those of you who are builders, you'll be hearing more about this in the weeks to come. But if you are not a builder and you are wondering how you might connect more deeply and purposefully to this community, make more friends here, show up for more things, hear about more things, hear about when there are babies born and funerals being had and shivas to attend and, you know, B'nai Mitzvah and the high holidays and get early tickets for things and discounts on things. But fundamentally to be in deeper relationship with the community and allow us to support you as you're going through those things. So I invite you to become a builder. This is actually like the month, and next month too is when the cycle renews itself. And so I put that out there. And for those of you who are coming to the builder dinner next door, we'll just be walking right over after services if you are pre-registered. If you are not pre-registered, I am sorry, but next time we will get more seats. And what I'll say is I hope that you will stay and schmooze here. I hear the Mexican restaurant over there, Don Pedro, is actually still doing carryout. So if you wanted to just like order and eat out here with the folks that you've met, God bless. And of course, that invitation is open to all. And these summer Friday nights that we're doing out here are perfect for picnicking before or after. And I hope that you'll avail yourselves of that. Let me make sure that there's nothing I wanted to say. Okay, there's so much going on at Mishkan right now, but just go look at our calendar for it. But specifically, I'm
not on. Specifically, I'm very quiet. There we go.
It's like Moses hitting the rock.
Which was not supposed to do.
That's actually a good point. Yes. Okay, I'll just stop.
I'm sure Patrick, like God, wants you to not hit the microphone.
Do that, right?
Don't do that. It's Pride Month, which is super exciting. We have so much programming because I'm slowly transforming this into our second high holidays, which is why I love our staff. Thank you for helping make this all happen. So our first event is this Sunday. We're going to be doing a picnic and tzitzit tying workshop. These are tzitzit. I'm going to be teaching you how to do it, but we're going to have rainbow threads in all varieties. You can either bring fabric for a talit if you want to make one, or we'll have keychains or carabiners if you want to make a fun, queer, Jewish fashion accessory to carry around with you on your belt loop or on your keys. That'll be this Sunday. We are moving indoors to the office space because unfortunately after a beautiful warm day tomorrow, it's supposed to get cold and rainy on Sunday. Boo. But there'll be bagels, there'll be coffee, there'll be friends. So please come to that. We have 2 gatherings of our queer small group. You can find out more information about that online. And then when we roll into not next weekend, but the weekend after that, which is Friday the 23rd, yes, we'll be having again here our Pride Shabbat service featuring a guest speaker from our community. It's going to be fun. It's going to be amazing. And then that Sunday, we will be marching in the parade. I would love for you to join us. We'll be emceed by the drag booby Miriam Lefkowitz herself. Marching with other Jewish organizations, and also if you want to gather folks to watch, that's great. And if you have an LGBTQ young one in your family, kind of the teen age, we're co-sponsoring a bagel brunch before the parade for young folks to gather and meet each other. And the last event will be on Monday, the 26th. We'll be with Temple Shalom and a few other Jewish communities in Lakeview, hosting a special Havdalah-esque ritual in memory of those who've lost their lives, who are part of the trans community, and in solidarity with the trans community as we move forward in securing safety and rights for them.
Amen. Shkoyach. Yeah. You can clap for that.
Yeah.
Let's clap for a schedule. But so much more than a schedule. Thank you. And it's true. One of the ways that we plan and organize is sort of thinking about things in the, like, along the lines of the magnitude of the holiday. And Stephen's not kidding when he says he like put this alongside the high holidays. It's the level of magnitude that he wanted to bring and the attention that he wanted to bring to Pride this year. And so it's fun to be able to do that. I also want to just point out, you may have seen it in an email, but it was sort of tucked in there. Matthew Ellenwood has been on the davening team for, at this point, 3 years. But part of the community for much longer. Matthew is an accomplished singer, composer, music leader, trainer, et cetera, et cetera. You can read about him online, but he is now also Mishkan's music director. And one of the cool things about that is he is going to create more bandwidth for us to do more singing that has nothing to do necessarily with the davening team, but is like a music jam on a Thursday night or a Saturday night to get ready for Shabbat or to extend Shabbat or to get ready for a holiday, to learn techniques, to learn ensemble techniques, to learn music, and just to play and sing together. So if you're a person who sings, who plays music, maybe has zero aspirations to do it in front of a crowd or to lead services with it, but actually just hang out with other people and play and learn. So I think our first one is June 22nd, Thursday night. And then just to say, we're like chock full of things happening in the month of June, and then July, we take it down a notch. And I wanted to give a big shout out to the entire team of people who is making tonight possible. And I'm looking directly into the camera because there is somebody behind the camera who is Will, but there's somebody behind the soundboard who is Patrick. And there are people who set up tonight who are Rebecca and Zach and Jordan and Amy and Maddie who are helping with the Builder dinner. And then, of course, Rachel and Anna, who is, Roche, Shabbat and holidays, and Jordan and the davening team, of course, Jenna, Henry, Matthew, Sam, impromptu, and Yoni, impromptu, Rabbi Stephen, myself. Am I missing anybody who did something tonight to help create tonight? Can we give a huge hand to all the people who come out here at 2:30 in the afternoon to begin this process of creating an event so smooth you wouldn't even notice that there was a team making it happen, but there in fact is. And they have lives outside of Mishkan. They are artists, they are theater makers, they are filmmakers. And the month of July is a time when all of us kind of take it down a notch. That's not to say that we're not doing Shabbat. I very much encourage you, all of you, to do Shabbat, but to do it more in the form of picnic dinners outside and gathering friends and inviting people over. We have a lot of things by way of small group happenings, and all of that you can just see in the calendar. But to use July, when we will not be gathering in this way, for the 2 Friday nights we would have been meeting in July, to use those as opportunities to do Shabbat in other meaningful, lower-key ways with friends and family. And if you want help thinking of what to do or how to do it, if you want a sheet with little blessings on it so that you can, all bless wine and bread together, we can set you up. And then on Saturday mornings, Rabbi Stephen will be doing Torah study in Wells Park. Also, low-key, there will not be microphones, but there will be Torah. And that allows all of us to sort of rest and restore for the marathon/sprint. I know that's an oxymoron, but the August and September leading into the high holidays, for us to all have a transcendent high holiday experience together. So anyway, now you know. I'm going to invite us to stand, and we're going to go into Aleinu Kaddish Yatom and close out our service tonight. Page 3, after Jenna.
Ooh.
If there is somebody you are remembering tonight as we gather here, somebody who you would have wanted to celebrate this Shabbos with, or somebody who you're just thinking about, it's that time. I do that too sometimes after my bedtime. But if you are not remembering somebody and you want to take a seat, you can. The custom is to stand as you're saying Mourner's Kaddish if there's somebody you're remembering. And that way we can see who is remembering somebody and may need support or a hug. And I'm just going to look around, and I probably won't be able to hear every name, but you can say them out loud, and the people around you can hear them. In the back? No. In the back? Yeah, Maris. Molly, yeah. And especially just our hearts are with Joel, who lost his sister just yesterday. May all of their memories be a blessing. We say together, Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah. Be'alma divra chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala uv'izman kariv imru.
Amen.
Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudsha richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata tamiran be'alma v'imru.
Amen.
Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom bimroma v'hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. Amen. For real, Yehi zichronam livracha. For real, for real. All right, let's sing ourselves out with one last tune. And then, again, if you're pre-registered, I invite you to scoot on over for dinner with us. And if this is news to you, enjoy a beautiful night out here. Let's stand. Kol haneshama tehalleluya.
Hallelujah.
cajones playing, by the way. Matthew, do you want one? No. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Good Shabbos. Take some of this with you tonight.